Adventures into reality. Welcome, 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 everyone, as we are building the audience fast and furious. So, everyone, sit back and relax. We're at the couch at the end of the universe. I want to thank for everyone that has come in. We have an interactive chat room. You can log in under a guest, or you can put your name in there. I would encourage everyone who wants to ask questions to go ahead and put them in the chat room. We will also be taking calls tonight. That's right, live calls. So I want to say hi to Mosey, Mina, Gail, Kate, Esther, Ellie, Wakanastic, Radovov, Nikki, Amy, Kyle, Tomaz, Betsy, guest, Crystal, Adriana, Sophie, guest, Alana, Sophie, guess, Makwana, Summers, Sarkis, and all those other people who don't want to show themselves. Come on, everyone, come on in, sign into the chat room. So last week we spoke about the collective consciousness strike, and I saw a question here that was already asking about the consciousness strike. This is from Summer, can you please explain the picket lines in the consciousness strike? Exactly what is bargaining and mediation? You take the words for exactly what they are. A strike has picket lines. That is where you have a group of people that is holding signs that are in front of a business and shutting it down. In our modern era, unions have been shut down by politicizing, and a strike no longer has the same concept. In the 20s, 30s, and 40s, as well as the 60s, 70s, and 80s, a strike had actually shut down an entire industry. You had the entire airline radar community in the late 80s that Reagan fired over one night because they literally were shutting down the whole country. We're getting a lot of people that's saying we're getting low volume. Can you up the mic volume? All righty. So anyone that's hearing low volume, can you give us a seeing if we're up good enough? Anyway, so that is what a strike is. When you're creating picket lines in the consciousness strike, that means everything you're on strike with is using your infinite ancestors to put a frequency inside their frequency and saying, we're on strike, we're not exchanging energy with you, these are our rules, you cannot use and abuse us. That is what the picket lines is. Now, in collective bargaining and mediation, this is a play on words of meditation, mediation. Now, mediation is when two sides are in opposition. They go into mediation, a way to find remedy and resolve without either side using their moral codes or bargaining in such a way that abuses that. So that is exactly what that is. There is a collective, meaning us of the on-strike beings, going to another collective and asking for mediation, meaning a sacred, neutral, celestial representative that acts as the neutral observer and does an audit in light, in service in light. And that is what you're getting out of that expression. Now, bargaining and mediation is what the system tries to do to us. True mediation is remedy and resolve. So there is the bigger difference. Also, the consciousness strike doesn't just meant for this planet. It's meant for thousands of planets that you simultaneously exist on. Now, we all have ways of understanding our duplication of soul process. So there's me here, and there's me in all the other simultaneous words. So we're getting people to say it's still hard to hear. Okay. So that is what goes on. We can live in multiple places. And when we begin to use this collective consciousness strike, more versions of you who are in equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order, non-duality, non-separation, I mean, they're sharing that common signature frequency of communion and union, so the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kinds is present in all the bargaining and collectiving processing. So that means your emanation or your signature frequency of teacher is becoming exactly that. And those that are signature frequency match or that become part of the master collective consciousness strike of the ability to say no at the universal level. That is the power of intent that we're bringing beyond as we're understanding the scales at which we think, do, and act. Now, there are some other parts of the consciousness strike that I'm going to get to in just a little bit. But we're going to take our first caller. We're getting a lot of people that have been asking questions about blood. And just one second, I'm going to... The first blood question was here. So we're going to bring in the first caller, Ellie.
G'day, Andrew. How you doing?
Is this Ellie?
Eli, yeah.
Okay, Eli. All right. I thought it was a girl. Anyways,
Hey, man.
hey, how you doing?
Yeah, it's been a little bit tough recently, hey?
Okay. So what is going on? You had a question that was about leukemia?
Yeah, I have a very dear friend, actually. He's a kind of an elder in our community, and he's just suddenly been admitted with leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia. So he's got too many young white blood cells.
Okay.
And so that was the first healing question, was just what we can do to support the return to normal function of his blood.
All right. So is he a spiritual person?
Very much so.
How many years has he been practicing?
I couldn't say, but I'd say that it's probably most of his life. I mean, he tells a story of getting changed meeting Uri Geller when he was a kid. So I guess going on stage with Uri Geller, I think he said he was like 12 or 13, maybe 14.
So is it fair to say that he's been doing a lot of ceremonial work?
Yeah, he does quite a lot of ceremony.
Right. So I find this in a lot of people that have started early and late in their life, these young blood cells come through. So there's a variety of ways to perceive why leukemia is there. So it is in the marrow itself, a portal. Many micro portals are opening through vagus nerve interaction, where at some point he went on a spiritual journey and a significant portion stayed somewhere else. And that other version can live and die 1,000 lifetimes or 10,000 lifetimes before he is here, even though while he's still here. And that's what's going on with him. So it's a shutting down of the mass portals of all the life and deaths in other worlds that he's in, so that he is in this world and this world only.
Sure, yeah, okay.
So are you familiar with the advanced heart meditation?
I'm not familiar with your advanced heart meditation, no, but I am familiar with timeline and other incarnation kind of interplays. So, yeah.
So this will be a little different. So when you sign up for just the website, the first email you get is the heart meditation, or you can you can get the videos and see me do it, and you get the PDF on it also. So what that does is it teaches you how to program the marrow of your blood, how to clean out the pericardium, how to open up the heart chakra. This is exactly what he needs, internal blood programming. And part of the heart meditation is where you're imprinting into the marrow that is produced over the next 56 days, an imprint of closing down the portals, specifically for his situation with leukemia. And then the next part is you're imprinting a mystical experience you can come back with full knowingness and understanding. It's important that he has that on his thing, because those other 1,000 lifetimes that he's lived somewhere else, he needs to have that as an experience. And that is what will create his healing for him. The master dream time experience.
Okay.
So,
wonderful. Thank you.
There's something else that is going on with him. So, he has not taken well care of his body either.
Okay.
So you need to really encourage him to do full-on colon cleansing. I'm gonna say he needs to shit a brick every day. Okay.
Okay.
So colonics, having one colonic is like having 30 morning poops. That's the volume. I would heavily recommend that he gets a round of one colonic every week for the next 12 weeks. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is he has burnt out his trace minerals because of the spirit work he's doing. And unbeknownst to him, there are a lot of things that go on in his unseen world that he's invested in beyond his awareness. And that is something that he's let slide over age. And he needs to reinvigorate that his spiritual entourage work within his borders, rules, policies, and procedures, and know that there were times when he was 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, he was lazy. We all have those moments. He has to acknowledge that and begin to close down extracurricular activities from his entourage. Very important. Okay, this isn't negativity. It's too much out there. Too much of him is out there. So the next thing is doing a ritual ceremony of calling all of his soul shards home, that are ready to come home. Those that aren't, I mean, you can still give them the light code or the right frequency of time where he is during his healing process so they can come back to him in dream time through the filters of the guides and the guardians. Now, is he in hospital now?
Yes.
And what is their intention of what they're going to do?
I think there's quite a lot of healthy complementary medicine going on, and I think there's also some allopathic medicine. So, yeah, I guess we come from a fairly active community, and there's a lot of support and a lot of insight and wisdom that's been called upon in the process. So, but having having more of an esoteric perspective helps as well.
So there is a series of other things that I'm detecting ancestrally energy-wise. And now I'm just going to break my radio rules for a little bit because I recognize the elder of another world. There is a significant misbalance in the whole town that you're living in. And as in it, sooner or later the troops have to step up and clear out the garbage. You know, it's like...
Yeah, well, we've been talking about this actually quite actively.
Right.
So,
so I think of it as all of the garbage communities are on strike and everyone's garbage is building up outdoors, but this is in the unseen world. And I can give some suggestions. You need essentially clear teams where you have, let's say, a group of 10 to 20 people who are practitioners enough in their own energy to know when energy is negative and when it's positive or what needs to be cleared. And you all find major intersections. You look at your maps and you basically say, you're on 7th Street, you're on this street, you're on this street. We make a circle, we make a square, and we all text each other. We're starting our little personal clearing ritual in that area. And you can do it in such a way that no one would ever know what you're doing, and it's called ancestral soups, where ahead of time you brew soup by your ceremonial fire, which is just a bone and prayers. And what are the prayers? We are now bringing zero balance or the union and communion consciousness strike or any of the contract revocations that are on the website. Those are all to enforce new sets of rules, borders, policies, and procedures, which forces those responsible for creating the garbage to immediately pick it up. Now, you would then brew this soup with as many people praying over it as possible for a period of 3 to 4 hours, drumming, dancing, the whole 9 yards, and then you just dole this soup out, and you go to this corner, you go to this corner, you say a couple prayer words, you dump some soup on the ground, and you keep going. You can literally clear out a whole city, and this might last 6 to 10 days before the energy builds up, but if you learn how to do it on the highness of the moon, let's say the eclipse that was coming up, with another ceremonial fire on the far side of the town, so 2 soups going, I think you could really clear up this town. But I will say, and this again, I'm breaking my radio rules, there will be a backlash. Okay, there will be. And whoever's a part of the ceremonial groups must know this and prepare for it. And if anyone goes ahead and does this idea without backup, you're an idiot. And you're about to get your ass whooped by that neighborhood who likes trash. Okay?
Sure.
So I mean, I don't know Australia well, but is it like a tourist town or something?
Yeah, I mean, we live in. I'm about 2 hours away from him. I'm actually in a Buddhist retreat center, but he's down on the coast with a large tourist community. Yeah, I mean, he's not in that community. He's holding his own community, but they're on the very gates of it. So.
They're on the very gates of it. So that is
definitely it's a dense place to navigate at times, but it's also a very powerful and beautiful place.
Yeah, and most places are like that. So what you're doing with the soup. You understand the intent behind it. You're bringing clearing, cleansing energy. There are also people that may want to do a different form of offering to the soup, which is their esoteric plight and story and journey, which is you step forward to the soup with a bunch of people doing, and you give your truth of what you've learned in this lifetime. I've learned that expectations create my limitations. I learned I must be heart space and aware, and my ego does exist. True stories of how you changed. True stories of how you grew into adulthood and hold your own legacy as a responsibility. If you're able to get a group of people that can do that, and like you brew this soup 6-7 hours and you have a group of, let's say, 10-20 people, you could clear out this whole city. You really can. It's all about preparing for the backlash. And The backlash is the practitioners themselves. They would do the soup, and then they would return to the fire and wait for the backlash, literally. And that is where the drummers, the dancers, the singers, the joy makers, the comedians have to step forward and raise the frequency for those people. Okay? Now, back to your friend. The reason he has this sickness is because of exposure to this form of ancestral pollution. His DNA is actually being changed to something that is not his divine, natural, co-creative will. So how familiar are you with DNA surgery?
I mean, we've engaged in quite a few different energetic healing practices and recoding DNA, but I'm not familiar with DNA surgery, as you say.
Okay.
We did actually, both of us, visit a psychic surgeon in the Philippines about a year ago, maybe a bit more than a year ago. But yeah.
And what occurred in that? What occurred in that?
Well, it was I guess it was in a kind of Christian faith healing setting, and there was a large group that went through 10 days of surgery, a day each. Sorry, a session each per day.
Okay, it did him good. It did him good. That's all I wanted. I just needed to sense your frequency to understand that frequency of time. So it did him very good. It did him very good. Now, I do believe he can fully...
We were a bit uncertain.
Yeah.
In hindsight, we were a bit uncertain, but, at the same time, it was all done with the prayer of God is love. So.
It did him good at that moment. It really did. It really did. It did him a lot of good. Now, I've talked about community involvement. Now, will community involvement make him better? Absolutely it will. Absolutely it will. It'll heal him faster than he could heal himself. Now...
Wonderful, yeah.
The next thing I want to say about him is, as a DNA surgeon understanding, there is a DNA that comes from our crown that is a purple color, okay, and then our root spirals the other way, which comes red. So sometimes it's red and blue, sometimes it's red and purple. So what you have to do is create a spiraling vortex in the tailbone that creates the first two strands of DNA, or Kundalini, and then there's another one that starts, it's another color coming out of the crown, and it intertwines where the solar plexus and the heart meets, and then like a barbershop thing, you then have a tube that's in the spinal column, that's in cranial pulse, and this is where DNA surgery from the metaphor is done. It has to be in the fullness of the body, not just in the auric field. Here is where you can return the residual image of the being to the fetus or the very first few heart cells that were created. And here is where you'll do DNA surgery that affects the photonic being of light and now that's going through the sickness. And so if you're imagining the two colors, the red and the blue, intertwining, right where the heart meets, where you begin to insert energy, will begin to determine how well the red and the blue twine together in that space between solar plexus and heart. There is where you're going to imprint upon him the place and space-time he was born, and it's important that there's a dictation of his story. Like, if he could say his story, like I've talked a lot what's called telling your story to your fire. He needs to identify his timeline now to that fetus in his womb so he can have enough access to the original fetus who has the original dream blueprint. He is the living blueprint. Like a builder, you get a blueprint and then you actually build the stuff, and sometimes it's different than the original. He can get a comparison and contrast of what is the original to what is now, and the DNA surgery will begin as he tells his story or somebody tells the story for him, and he interacts in such a way that he comes to the great aha moments of his life. It is a telling of the victories as well as the defeats, the trials, the tribulations, not necessarily an autobiography, but a sacred telling. And this is something that he needs as part of his acceptance of living here in this timeline, because deep down inside he knows he's had all these experiences somewhere else, which I can very much understand, because again, there are times I fall asleep here and wake up somewhere else. I fall asleep there and wake up here. Sometimes I fall asleep here and wake up in 25 other places. Okay? Like I've never left.
Mm-hmm. That could be tiring.
No, it's a way of life. Honestly,
Okay.
it's been happening
Yeah.
for me for so long that it's a way of life. And
Okay.
your friend, he doesn't necessarily have it the way that I do, but he would understand the metaphor.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'll be able to get this to him. I'm very appreciative.
No,
Thank you.
and did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask?
There was one thing I've actually had it's very interesting, that last segment we talked about in terms of revisiting the original blueprints, because I've been in quite a intense and challenging healing journey myself with a lifetime of digestive and immune illness. And it's kind of, I had, post-viral Lyme-like illness, and then now I have inflammatory bowel disease. And I guess, I've tried lots of different things. I've tried everything there is to try, and I've had some success and then some not success. But I just thought I would check in with you to see if you have any insight into, the function of the inflammation and bleeding of the bowels, and the ability to, I guess, reset the immune system to before it was disrupted, which for me may have been in utero.
Actually, it's not. So
Okay.
So describe the symptoms to me as it came on to you and you realized something was wrong with you.
Well, I guess, I was born and I had colic for 3 months for 3 years when I was born. So I had bloated, gassy stomach and crying a lot as a baby. And my mum was a tobacco picker, so she was exposed to
Yeah, you've already
dioxins
answered my
when I was
question. It's all ancestral.
ancestral.
It's all
Right, okay.
ancestral, which makes sense why the ancestral soup breaking of the radio rules came to you, because you need that as
Okay.
your own healing, honestly.
Yeah, sure.
So
I did get a sense of that. Thank you.
yeah,
You may have already answered
you
my
need to
question.
do that solely for yourself, where you get as worked up as you're going to go have sex for a week straight, but it's solely for the soup for yourself that you're going to ingest, alchemize, and change yourself from within, because you do know the power of intent, adult intent, and faith.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And if you
Yeah.
empower, if that food is full of joy, you will alchemize joy, and you will begin to change
Mm-hmm.
your gut. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will recommend that it's important that the trace minerals, that you have the trace minerals. So
Mm-hmm.
some reason your body's just going, I don't need them. I don't need them. I don't need them. And that's
Okay.
a program.
Okay. Okay.
And so you have to make that your discipline to make sure you're having trace minerals added to your water. Are
Yep.
you
I have I have some.
are you testing your pH of your urine?
I haven't been, no, but I can do. I've got a pH test kit. I guess I've been a little bit overwhelmed with everything, but I can
Do a
definitely
pH
get back to being more
doing a
disciplined.
pH test. So how is eating solid food for you now?
Right now it's good because I just made a huge change in my diet. Actually, I went from vegetarian, vegan, and just recently shifted to pressure cooked basic meats and vegetables, and it's
Beautiful.
a lot better.
A smart man.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
pressure cooking is a good way to go if you've been on veganism for a long time and need to go to the other side.
Yeah.
Can you handle red curry or red curry paste?
I haven't tried in a long time, but I'd be willing to give anything a shot. Really.
So like a Thai red curry soup, red curry and coconut
Sounds
milk.
delicious.
So
Sounds
there's
delicious.
it's a really simple recipe. You just need red curry paste and coconut milk, and that's a broth. Chicken, whatever you want to do, steam it and dump it in there however
Yep.
you want.
Yep.
Then you're going to make sure you need your protein. You're going to want to start packing
Yeah.
up protein bars or protein
Yep.
shakes.
Yeah, I got an elemental shake. I got an elemental shake connection that's specifically for inflammatory bowel disease. So
Yeah.
I'll be
The
using that.
next thing to know is you're producing way too much mucus in your intestinal tract.
Yeah.
So this represents a
Yeah.
damage in your dream world, a massive, massive attack. I would say maybe even before you were born, probably right when you were about to stamp your blood signature that I'm coming in as this DNA frequency, and something was terribly trying to stop you doing that.
I've actually been back to that recently, listening to some of your other work, and I saw the line of interference and attack starting there. Yeah, before I incarnated, that was like the furthest back I could track the interference was actually in the Bad Earth. Yeah.
So when you were just two cells making the first left and right part of the ventricle of the heart, there is where your attack began. Now that attack is just an initial observation of what you were going to unpack from your celestial frequencies that they did not want here. The first few sparks that come in are basically where you've been, who you are, what are your most important lifetimes, this universe and all the other universes. Because you're saying to the contractor planet Earth, this is what I'm manifesting, and that's what they're detecting. And that is what you have to, let's say, obfuscate as you, the adult now, who is that heart, who is dreaming this dream right now. So what I call it is engaging the Peacemaker's frequency. Have you heard me talk about that before?
Yeah, it's really strong in my being as well. Actually, hearing you talk about it has been like a reminder, you know, remembering.
Yeah. So the Peacemaker is a being who understands equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order, non-separation, non-duality. I am a singular, I am breakaway DNA, standing light body, dreamtime nation of one. You understand what that code means. You are fully sovereign and empowered. And what you can do is anything that's trying to harm you, you can encapsulate it in a dream world through the Peacemaker frequency, equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. And then it is fully working through its charge and polarity and has no idea it's not engaging the signature you at all. And that is the way we as God manifesting beings of the creative beings of the now can learn how to do no harm to any creature kind. We have that power within us. And I believe you engage the union and communion consciousness strike to deny services in all celestial frequencies, timelines, and realms, and directly target the celestial homeworld that's allowing the offense. You might want to use light language for this. Now I'm even breaking more of some of my radio roles, but it's fine. So what I'm giving you is an insurgency's guide to fucking up another world that's trying to fuck with you.
Sure, great.
Long story short, you have about 275 celestial minds who have an extreme disliking for you as a being. Okay?
Yeah.
And they have, let's just say, a number of their children incarnating in different worlds, following you around, trolling your ass every lifetime.
That's kind of what it's felt like.
Yeah. And you just can't shake them. They're like the bad soul, they're like the trailer park soul family that's always around you.
Yeah.
So if you see them through that medium and you engage the universal union and communion consciousness strike and target all the celestial beings that are using forced evolution as a means of ideological interaction with you, you cease it at the source. Now, that is a daily practice until such a time you get so neutrally potent with it that just a handful of words will last for several months.
Okay.
So the endurance of change is change is easy, but it's the endurance of change. Each breath you take, each sovereign sleep you take, knowing that you are protected by this frequency, and each time you engage your sacred discipline, you will increase its ability to say no at the original fetus that is you, and 21 generations in the past and 21 generations in the future. That means that you are essentially unobservable to them.
Wonderful.
Right.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will do that.
So I would do that in ceremony, and this does reflect your friend's thing. It is knowing who you are this lifetime, so nobody else can pretend to be you in a dream and, oh, was that my dreaming me? Oh, fuck, I don't know. That's how they're getting you. And it's through the vagus nerve. So it is the vagus nerve that allows your sympathetic and parasympathetic access to precognitive abilities. And the vagus nerve is the biggest chief violator of that, and that's how issues from past lives bleed through to this lifetime. And literally you get an imprint from another lifetime directed to your vagus nerve, which is a bioelectric frequency that isn't you, it's someone else. And that's why a lot of people go through these weird changes. It's a re-imprinting of another I am signature light frequency on us.
Yeah, I feel like in the last 3 or 4 years, I've been at least 15 or 20 different versions of myself, and each time I've had to navigate my way back to here.
Uh-huh. And the union
Yeah.
and communion consciousness, right, gives access to every one of your versions of self to get into that unity, even if they're in total polarity to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you analyze it, like literally allow yourself to analyze it, it'll be a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions?
Thank you so much. That's it. I'm really grateful for your time and your work. Thank you.
You're welcome, and keep me apprised. Send a message to the website if you're able to put a big ceremony together. I'll give you guys some special prayers for the soup if you get a big group together.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I'll be in touch. Thank you so much, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Much love.
Yeah. So they're saying thank you for the volume raise. It's much better now. All right. So we're going to take the second caller.
Second caller will be Sophie from Brisbane.
Sophie, are you there from Brisbane?
I am here, Andrew. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
how you doing today?
Really, really well. Nashoya mana ya na toya manano koya.
Hokkaido wata chekawa mahada yakut chamahawoki yachada hotaka chiwamata tawakachakata.
Hoya na ya hoya manana kaya noi mano taya.
Mahati kau kachanata uki yanata chimina. Sophie, could you turn off your speakers?
Yep, can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better. We don't have an echo now. We still got. You got to turn your speakers all the way down on your computer, not your phone.
Like the volume?
Yeah, your speakers. You need to kill. Yeah,
Okay, so mute it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll mute it. But
All right.
okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Now it's gone. There we go.
I can't hear him though. Okay, thank you so much. My first question was just in regards to feeling an attack of anxiety energy the last 2 weeks on Wednesdays before I'm actually teaching in some seminars. So me and my sister have been clearing that, but I wanted to stop those negative beings from projecting this energy at me because I know it's not me and I know it's not my energy.
All right. So it's apparently today is a breaking of radio rules. Has there been any sexual projections at you recently that you need to shrug off?
Not that I'm aware of.
I need you to really think. There's a predatory spirit in your frequency.
The only one that I can think of perhaps is I worked for one of the big companies, one of the big accounting firms over the November to December of 2016 to 2017. And there was a gentleman there who was projecting a lot of sexual energy at me to the point where I was, feeling attracted to him, but I knew that I wasn't.
Right,
it was just like that energy.
That is going on again. And that person is trying to encapsulate you in a negative sexual fantasy dream world.
Okay.
He actually has fallen in love with you in a dream world, and it's totally venomous and poisonous.
Yeah.
Give me a second to process.
Okay.
All right. So, what type of event are you doing?
I'm tutoring in psychology. So whenever I tutor in front of a class of about 30 people, I start to feel this anxiety.
Clinical psychology or spiritual psychology?
It's social psychology at university.
All right, now this begins to make sense. What I'm looking at you is a web around you. You actually have several negative male and female frequencies that have entangled you into a false love dream world.
Okay.
Just give me another second to process. What I'm trying to do is look at all of them, why they're doing. So what's going on is they're trying to get hooks into your aura. And every time you notice one and take a hook out, you've missed two others that have a hook in you don't even know.
Yeah.
And right
'Cause
now
my sister has been helping me clear those hooks.
well, there's a part of you that has invited that. Now, this goes back to the original reason of why. Where were you living 11, 12, 13?
In Cairns, Australia.
Was that a very negative time for you?
I guess.
On a rating of
A
1 to
lot of
10, how
emotional
bad?
abuse. Sorry?
On a rating of 1 to 10, how bad?
In terms of the emotional abuse, pretty bad. So probably like the 8, 10
Okay.
to the point where I can detach.
Yeah, okay. So that's where this trauma began. So that is actually the source point in which you must heal. I mean, you first thing you're going to shove off these other ones, but you're going to go back to the source point. This is where this is allowing this into the field. You have gone through so much suppression at that age. So,
Okay.
all right. So what I'm going to recommend is that you're going to do a very special, you have a friend that can help you do this ceremony?
Yes.
So in this particular thing, you need to alchemize these out of your frequency. And there are times that I engage alcohol for alchemy. And you aren't going to be drinking this alcohol. What you're going to be doing is going to get a spray bottle, and you're going to literally pulling these male and female energies of sexual projection off of you, off of your male, female parts. You're going to really have to crotch deep in there, big energy, just as if you were brushing off a client or pulling energy out. So somebody will spray and you'll pull, and what you'll notice is you're going to get chilly, really cold, and you may not be able to pull it out, and the other person will pull for you, as well as hold space for you to build up more energy. And this is going to be a very visceral, mystical experience when you do this, when you are pulling off these male energies and female energies. And I would like for you to use the divine feminine, the divine masculine contract revocation, as well as the union and communion consciousness strike and the shaman's death. Those four combined will give you balance in the male and female, the ability to say no to truly attacking celestial sources and negative frequencies, and then the shaman's death is your own letting go of why you allowed it in your frequency in the first place at a young age when you were used and abused. Okay? So this ceremony should take 2 to 3 hours, and it's not like you need to do it nonstop. You can start and stop and take a rest, start and stop and take a rest. You can even eat during that. You will need your strength. Have you ever had, alcohol pour over you or rubbing alcohol and all of a sudden it makes your skin really cold?
Yes.
Well, you're going to be experiencing this, but all of a sudden you're going to be intentfully pulling energy off, saying, no one can use my breast as a sexual frequency. No one can use my butt or my vagina as a sexual frequency. I am my own emanation frequency of light. Truly powerful words that are to the body, so your aura is unprojected. Now, the reason you're using the alcohol is you're also taking them out of your dream world. And in your intestinal tract is your dreaming body, but it's also a pole part of your aura. So you're going to be also saying, I'm removing you from my dream worlds, completely banning and banish you, severing all cords and closing all portals in all dream frequencies. This will take care of that, as well as the original reason of why they're in your field.
So should I be naked doing this if I trust the person doing it with me?
You don't need to be totally naked, but it could help. You can do with just a set of pants and a shirt on and feel comfortable, but because you're going to be going through you're going to need like a whole 2 bottles of alcohol, like big bottles of alcohol, and preferably something clear. Okay, so you don't want to be coating yourself in dark rum. And the higher the alcohol content, the better. But not rubbing alcohol. Alcohol is spirits. It is infused spirits. Okay?
Excellent. So once I do all of that, this will be cleared?
This will be cleared, and then you'll be able to build up an immunity to it with your next set of rituals and ceremonies, which is you defining rules, borders, policies, and procedures as a fully sovereign and controlled sacred feminine and sacred feminine warrior. Okay? And this is building the archetypes of positivity in you instead of the original archetype of suppression, depression, and regression. This is you've cleared the reason, the why it's there. Now you can reprogram it to do something good.
Excellent. So, am I going back to the 8 and 9-year-old myself and changing it from there, or reprogramming it
Both.
from where I am at the moment?
Both. During this ceremony, you're pulling the energy out, and then near the end of it is where you want to visualize the original child who was going through that, and go back to her in a full love frequency, embrace her, get her to notice you as energy, and then literally tell her, I am your future self, here to tell you your whole story. We're going to change a frequency now so that me of the future is no longer harmed by this trauma we're going through. And you immediately change yourself. The key is intent, love, embrace, trust, so that when she does hear your story, she knows it's you, which is her, because she is the same heart that is you, the same heart that was 2 cells separating.
Oh, wow. I do Teal Swan's process as well, in terms of the completion process with the soul shard retrieval. Should I do that as well once I go back to the child?
No. That's something different. That will engage some shadow frequencies that we're not trying to engage here. You already had trauma from the shadow frequencies during that era, which was ancestral for you. So for you, it's solidifying that frequency so that that original moment of ancestral trauma that created the suppression from the father and mother, so on and so forth, that is no longer projecting to you in the future. So you're sealing the portal, you understand the teaching, and you're passing it on as a legacy to your future selves to know what this is an ancestral karma, lesson here. That is why I went through that as a reason. Now you're going to no longer engage that as karma. You are telling all of your soul family members that I've learned this lesson. I do not want to learn this lesson from anyone else in my soul family. Anyone that's not in my soul family and forcefully entangling into my field, I will use the union and communion consciousness strike to deny you frequencies of energy exchange in all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes, because you are forced evolution, not my natural organic evolution.
Yeah. And when I'm pulling the energy off me, will I be able to feel that when it dissipates?
Yes, you will. Oh, you will. Especially if you get emotional and you're really talking about your true trials and your true tribulations, sexually, the abuse that you went through when you were young, all of the different things, your first sexual experience, your second, your third, your fourth. This is where you have to get into the truth of your femininehood and remove all of the projections, male, female, dog, cat, anything that's a consciousness projecting onto you as a woman. You are getting back to the original divine, sacred, incarnated, divine feminine source. That is the purpose of this pulling ritual.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and the persons who's helping me with it, will they be projected at by this energy, so they need some level of protection?
If they prepare themselves by their own authentic prayers, as well as engaging the contract revocations of the consciousness strike before you do, like they've done their due diligence, I would not necessarily do this by a sacred fire, Miss Alcohol, but you can have other forms of things that can absorb the energy, like a big ass hunk of salt, like one of those big salt lamps, or a couple of those salt lamps, or big blocks of salt, will assist greatly on reducing any bleed over of what you're going through and them empathing an attack. Most of the time in this ancestral stuff, the co-pilot or co-person empaths the attack, unless there's some true relation in you where it can jump through DNA.
Okay. So I have some rocks that were in the heart chakra, womb chakra. So are they good to have with me?
Yes. You're making a big circle of rocks around you, yeah. Anything that you're going to use as your mind solid, real now protection I've invested as part of this ritual and ceremony.
Yeah. So these entities are doing it because I think you were saying that they've fallen in love with me and
no, these are physical people. No, these are physical people, not entities.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, physical people.
Yeah, I think I know who one of the females is.
Well, I would say you would have at least 30 right now.
30 of them are doing it.
Yeah.
Are they conscious of each other?
No. That's why you have a big.
Okay.
I'll break the rules. You have a big soup of sexual projection on your butt, your legs, your breasts, and your brain. Meaning, they're in the dream world. They're making up what you would say to please them, in any way, shape, or form. And this is creating a distortion frequency in your natural harmonics of how the brain creates serotonin, and it's creating an awareness and a depression, and you're subtly unaware of it. Yeah, because this is, when you have this many, I mean, I do some singers and movie stars where I'll assist them removing several million at a time. Okay, you're only dealing with 30. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's because of the field that you're in and the education that you went through to get there. So what it is you're beginning to discover, when you were hot stuff when you were 20, there's like 10 or 12 of them. And as you got older, different people saw you in a different light. And people are weird in their mind, all right? It's not about the supermodel every time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Anything else to add to that?
Have you had any lower back issues going on?
No.
What about previously?
Like now and then I might feel a little bit of discomfort because I have a very sedentary lifestyle studying, but it hasn't lasted very long. So it might just, I remember, I think it was about 2015, it probably lasted for about a week where it was constant, and other than that, nothing.
There is an energy wound in thoracic 11. So are you familiar with anatomy and physiology?
Not really, no.
So there's 12 vertebrae in the thoracic, 7 vertebrae in the cervical, and then the lumbar has 5. So your 11th vertebrae in the middle of your thing, so basically just above your belly button, but on your back, there is a vertebrae that has a backstab in it, literally as if somebody psychically came up and stuffed a shiv in your back, and it's actually paralyzing part of your energy.
Okay.
So, when you were 25, were you in school full time?
Yeah. I was in my second year of psychology. So that probably might, because I know at that time my long-term partner cheated on me around that time. So
There we go.
perhaps.
So
Okay.
you shall do a pulling on that point and pull out all the backstabbing energy from right there. That is separate of the sexual pulling, but if you identify any other times that you know you were hurt and harmed and backstabbed, it'll all be into that one point.
Okay.
And if you can actually figure out on your back where it is, actually take a marker and mark it. So when you're pulling on it front and back, that you really are targeting that one. Thoracic 11.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm just essentially doing a similar thing when I do this other ceremony and also engage.
You can do it
that.
during that. You're just, instead of blanketly pulling off all sexual projections of all beings and verbalizing it, you're going, this is a particular backstab energy from a particular person, and I'm expanding it to all other frequencies, and you have to start bringing up some of those other ones and pull and have the partner pulling while you're going through that, or you pulling through it. You may notice that you actually cough and choke and are unable to say some words because the energy is that dense, and it is the alcohol that assists in the alchemy process of getting it out as a mist.
Well, I've been engaging in fire ceremonies of late, just trying to remove that anxiety energy that I was feeling, and I could kind of feel like a bit of a choke around my neck when I
Yeah.
was saying.
You will feel that, and no, and that's when you get sacred feminine warrior angry and go, no, you do not have control over me. It may take me a second to get my power back, but got no power.
Yeah.
You're just a program.
Yeah,
Bye
definitely.
bye. You're fired. Here's
I
your
can
pink
bring
slip.
it. I can bring it.
Yeah.
One more question. So hopefully in a bit more positive light. I was just wondering about what energies are coming to me at this time, especially from the perspective of the 7 directions.
Awareness. First thing first is there are times that you are fully conscious aware and equal to your level of responsibility. And then there are times you're a little lazy to your responsibility, to your awareness. Example, the sexual buildup energy. You haven't felt it over the years, and you've just let it go and go and go.
Yeah.
Are you really, truly oblivious to it?
I just kind of thought that a lot of males are attracted to me, and I didn't know why.
It's your
so I
light.
just kind
It's
of
your light.
brush it off.
It's your light.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I kind of didn't think much of it. I kind of just brushed it off, and yeah.
You didn't acknowledge it, which then created a frequency that was a distortion in your awareness. That is what is coming to you from the 7 directions. So the north direction is saying there's ancestral energies to pay attention to, meaning the ancestors are trying to help you balance your environment. The south is your innocent and inner child. It's saying if you are truly aware of how to have joy during ceremonies and rituals, no matter how dense the material is, that you can laugh through it, joy through it, because you have your partner and companion there, or just doing it yourself, you will conquer anything. Your east direction is the actual gateway to spontaneity and self-illumination, if you should choose to engage that as a being who's dropped all expectations. The west is your dreaming self, which you have been a form of disconnected from, because your dream space, or where you are sleeping, I would say is too busy of energy. So that if you have lots of artwork, if you have tchotchkes in there, you need to get the majority of them out. Not that you need to live in a bare room, but it's your energy in your room is too busy and your consciousness isn't really getting into deep delta. I would actually say you probably have a form of sleep apnea, meaning your jaw is slightly distended when you're sleeping and it's slightly grinding each night. Do you ever wake up with really dry mouth?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay. If you notice yourself waking up with dry mouth, then you know that it's starting to get, pretty serious. But
Okay.
you're not going into full delta sleep. I would say this has probably been going on for, 8 years, 10 years.
Okay.
Is there a
Once I do this,
well, is there like something you do before you go to sleep? Like you always take a bath or something like that?
I used to do all of the revocations that you gave us in this Seattle conference. So I used to do those before I'd go to sleep.
Okay.
But now I've changed that more to like a morning, afternoon fire ceremony ritual. So there's not that
That's
much
fine.
that I do before
That's
I go
fine.
to sleep.
So what I would like for you to do is give yourself a few months of new ritual before you go to bed. So a bath, a sacred feminine leisurely bath, okay? All the flowers, literally, work it up, throw the rose petals in there, the whole 9 yards. You need it. Okay,
I'm not used to that pampering. I just
you got to self-pamper, and it's a form of nurturing yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? You need it. Now, the 7 directions has above, below, and within. Your above direction is saying, nurture yourself. Nurture yourself. Your within direction is going, I don't have time to nurture myself.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And that's the first the main distortion to understand from your 7 directions. Now, the above, below, within. So we said the within, now the below. What do you think the below is trying to tell you?
that due to karmic family aspects that I need to heal?
Partially. There's more. It is actually the career you have chosen, which is right for you. Nothing's wrong with it. Has, let's just say, nail on the chalkboard to some other soul family members who see you in this frequency going, we can't have that there. It's too powerful to be in that. And that is what you are removing, hierarchical apex orders saying to you, you can't be here, and we're setting up a whole bunch of barriers and blockades in your lifetime, so the white trash soul family is always around you, or the trash soul family is always there, screwing up your life. Much like with the other caller.
Yeah. So should I listen back to what you told him in regards to how to clear that?
Yep, the ancestral soup. Yeah, you're going to consume your own. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now let me just scan another second here. Hold on. I got something here. So there are times our below direction gives us the energy of the earth that we're under, and other times it can give us the energy of many other different places that earth at once. And your below direction is saying all the places that you've traveled to in your lifetime are still giving you the connection to them. So what are you say the top 3 most beautiful places that you've been to that aren't in your local city, worldwide?
Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa.
Okay.
When I actually went to the Grove of the Patriarchs, I had a date with a tree.
Yep.
And I needed to download or upload information from that sacred place that I had visited.
Okay.
Tasmania in Australia.
Okay.
That was just absolutely beautiful.
Okay. So at any moment,
and Italy has my heart.
At any moment, you can go back into the fullness of those memories and connect to the signature frequency of the Grove of the Patriarchs, Mount Kilimanjaro, Tasmania, and make them a part of your ceremonial awareness. Meaning you're creating a time in which you are trying to bring all 3 of those energies into your awareness as nurturing in the ceremony. Okay? If you begin to make this some form of a regular practice, it is going to feed the multidimensional you on a positive type of steroids.
Is this energy I should bring into that ceremony?
No, you should try bringing it into your brain first, and then into your heart, and then into your womb. It might be a little difficult in the beginning because Kilimanjaro has all the memory. Again, it's the sense of they all share a commonality. A connection of commonality. And your focus is to maintain that 3 concepts as the energy that is nurturing and feeding you through the positive of your memories and dreams of those places.
Beautiful.
So are you going to be able to come to the next event?
I so want to, but I don't think I'll be there this year. But if you're having one next year, I will be there.
I'm sure we'll probably having 2 next year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I loved it so much last year, as did my sister. We had a phenomenal time with all your devices communicating with us, and telepathy with the crystal skulls, and the Grove of the Patriarchs was just, the energy there was just out of this world.
Yeah.
So we traveled there with a group of other women and gentlemen, and they were just amazing souls to connect with.
Very
special
cool.
time.
Well, darling, I got to let you go and move on to the next caller, but it was great talking to you.
You too, Andrew. Take care. And I love you so much and all of your work. And thank
love
you.
you
Thank
too.
you.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. So we take the next caller.
Next caller will be Claire.
Claire, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, Claire. How you doing? Where are you calling from?
Tacoma.
Tacoma. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
How are you?
Yeah. What questions?
Thank you.
What kind of questions you want to ask?
Well, I've been having some pain in my back too that's really been coming up a lot lately. And I don't know if it's just lifestyle, kind of like what the other caller was saying as far as sedentary, or if there's more to it. It seems to be like really intense lately.
Well, this is the Lion's Gate building up in you. Have you been able to do any physical exercise lately?
Not really. I mean, besides day to day, no.
So what is the day? What is the day like for you?
I work at like a normal office job, and I have a really long commute. So, like, I go from basically Tacoma to past Seattle every day.
Okay. Do you drive yourself?
No, I take the train, public transportation.
Okay. Just give me a second here.
So, yeah.
I'm scanning why.
Thank you.
Do you have any kind of obsession with shoes?
No, but I'm walking around a lot, so
I
do
would-
have I do have a lot of shoes, but I definitely don't have an obsession with them.
All right. So how many pairs of shoes would you say you have?
20.
20? One for each different
Yeah.
occasion. So what I'd like for you to do one day is to pull them all out and put them all on and watch yourself walk. And if you see your foot shake inside there, your foot has changed size a lot because of your sedentary lifestyle. Sometimes they swell and sometimes they shrink. There are times you went and bought shoes, your foot was much bigger, and other times you bought shoes, your foot was much smaller. Shoes stretch and move around, and majority of your issue is A, sedentary, and B is what is going on with your shoes. Your shoes are making your foot is moving inside the shoe, and it is creating lower back pains. It's actually creating the beginning of sciatica, the very, very beginning of sciatica.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like, and yeah, that seems spot on. Yeah.
So what I would recommend is you get some of those Dr. Scholl's foot inserts. Now, they also have these kiosks that literally print them on demand. That scans your foot with a camera, and it prints them right out there. If you have, I see them at Walmart and drug marts and stuff like that. If you see those, go and get those. Or you need to get orthotic insoles and begin to use them as part of your day. And instead of dressing in any more accessorizing type shoe, that you begin to wear a very comfortable shoe that you can fit your orthotic in.
I'm laughing because I'm like, oh my God, I feel so old.
Well, your other choice is to learn how to deeply do your own foot massage several times. You know, you're going to have to really, really, really do it, or go and get somebody with fingers and hands of steel and grind through the concrete that's your feet.
Okay, I'll do the orthotics.
So it's look like an old lady, or get someone to jackhammer your feet every day until then you break it up.
Bring on the cane.
You're not that close. You don't need a cane.
No, I just meant like a representation.
Yeah. So I would say getting some form of deep reflexology, literally finding somebody with the hands of steel and just grind through your feet and lower body, as well as having full-on deep tissue massage for yourself with lymphatic drain, I think you'll be able to notice a big, big difference in your back pain. Now, we got some other stuff going on with the back. Give me a second to tune this thing. So T34, which is T345, which is right roughly just above where the heart connects to the spinal column, you are having fascia or strings that are controlling your deltoid shoulder muscles so on are pulled very, very tight. And this is how you hold your body mechanics while you're at work. So
Like
that is
hunched
limiting
over?
your governor vessel and your conception vessel, both the front and behind your sternum and in your back. So having someone that can come in and do shiatsu point release will probably bring, miracles of, thank God it's clear energy. I mean, someone shiatsu or beginning to learn how to truly change the position you are at, ergonomic position you are at work. So there are these chairs that have no backs, but your feet are underneath your butt. They fit on a certain way. And that could take care of a good amount of that issue. It's a mechanic issue because of chair, the way the feet drag on the floor, standing up, sitting down, sitting with your foot under your leg, so on and so forth.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. So you're just in a standard office job?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I just did a career switch recently.
To what?
I just did a career switch recently.
Okay, what were you in and what did you go to?
I was in politics and I came back to real estate.
What were in politics were you doing?
I was working in legislatures for different, like one of the parties, and then I was monitoring legislatures in DC.
All right. So this energy is the pain in your back. Literally, the pain in your back. It would be a good idea. It'd be a good idea for you to do on a full-on fire ceremony that gets rid of all the paperwork, burns it all, anything you got left of it, sever all contracts, vows, agreements, full-on contract revocation, and say, I'm done with that job. Not ever doing it again and passing it on to legacy of any future self that wants to go and do that. My answer is no.
Well, you answered one of my questions.
Yes. Do not go back to that job. It'll be your downfall. Literally.
That's when, right after that, when I came back here, that's when the back started.
Yep.
But that's part of what I was going to ask tonight, is because, like, I really don't like my current job.
The real estate.
Yes.
Well,
So
this is the
boring.
worst time. This is the absolute worst time to be in real estate, first thing first. Especially in D.C. Because everyone's selling because of Trump.
I'm here now.
Yeah.
No, I'm in Washington State now, so
Yeah.
I'm not in D.C. anymore.
You're not in D.C., you're Washington State now. A little different. If you're in D.C., it'd be different. It'd suck. Because everyone wants to leave Trump.
Yeah.
Now, just give me a second here. I would tune into your energy. So, really, it's career question.
I just feel kind of lost because part of me is very political, and then the other part of me is like super bored in real estate, and I'm just kind of lost. I feel I just feel like, what's the point?
The point is to live in the ever-present moment of now, to live, love, learn, and prosper during awake and aware times, and to not allow programs to run our days, so we're not here to enjoy it. So we can have the unlimited point of view and have the unlimited power.
How do I do that in normal land?
You exit normal land and you go to disciplined abnormal land where you create your own reality. It's a change in mind. This is why I created Living the Mystical Life Daily. Have you taken a look at the course? Seen some of the contract revocations and the stuff we give out? The advanced heart meditation?
I've seen your contract revocations, and I've done some that you've had on the website because I felt like that was an issue for me.
Right. So when you sign up for the website, it's just for the email list. You'll get 3 videos. One that's going to give you the advanced heart meditation, another one that's going to give you the shaman's death, and another one that's going to give you the sanctuary for all souls. What I'd like for you to do is just begin to practice those. They're free. We just want an email. We'll email you more free stuff. And if you want to truly engage that process, those 3 basic meditations and the teachings that come with them are about entering your own sacred path, honoring your journey, nurturing yourself at the heart level, having mystical experiences so you can invest more time, effort, and energy within yourself, so you can learn from your old selves and old habit patterns and create new habit patterns, new rules, borders, policies, and procedures so you don't find yourself unable to change.
Well, and feel stuck. Like, I just feel like, yeah, it's almost like I've kind of wussed out and been like, I'm taking the stable path, but the stable path seems to drain the shit out of me.
Right.
And is boring.
Yeah. Well, this is where you have to decide what I want in my life. If you want to have the mystical spiritual experiences, you can't do it via instant gratification. I can't tell you how many people call me for private sessions. I go, I want you to teach me this, this, and this. I'm like, that's an instant gratification question. You must be responsible enough to know you do it in your awareness first. Okay? Everybody goes, I want out-of-body experience. And you know, I silence the under my breath. Well, if you were ready for an out-of-body experience, you've already had them. Every day. And if you're not ready, here's a set of rules for you to think about that stops your energy from being bled off to other things. Or here's a set of techniques to practice so you can begin to coax the body into the experience. Most people that want to have an out-of-body experience, this is stereotyping, it is their internal colon that's stopping them from having that. I mean, they need to get colon cleansed, and then they'll get most of their dream world back. Your dreaming body's in your intestinal tract. Now, in your situation, this staticness of your life and the repetition has created this I can only work within the yard frequency. You have a very limited territory that you allow yourself on because your work requires 80% of your daily energy.
Yeah, you mean like I'm going to that frequency 80% of the time?
Right. So when you leave work and when you're on the way to work, it's still your time, and you got to learn to claim that time so that when you, let's say you actually walk through the door, front doors, you haven't wasted an hour preparing yourself in your mind for work that Jane at the water counter is going to tell me this, I'm going to hear about this person's, bullshit or whatever, as well as the office dramas. Don't mentally prepare for any of that. You literally make it my time. That is where on your train you can use the contract revocations, you're recording them in your own voice or using the ones that are provided for you to listen to. That's your time. And what are you doing with it? Empowering the self with it. Okay? As well as, sometimes read a book, have an audio book being played, something other than music. Now, this is not putting music down. It's tailored for you. You need something other than music so your mind is occupied on a form of non-instant gratification entertainment.
You said instant gratification like 10 times.
Yep. The key is non-instant gratification entertainment. So many people just miss that. Everyone thinks entertainment's instant gratification. No, entertainment is something we create in ourselves and allow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Spirit for you. You got to begin to engage it.
Wait, say that again? I couldn't understand.
You got to be able to engage spirit, your own spirit.
Yeah, I feel like part of me, it's like it starts to happen and like I'll get these downloads and stuff, but then I get scared or I start nitpicking the shit out of it,
Well, that's your own thing. You really got to stop nitpicking yourself. That's a program within you that's doing it. And that's where something like the shaman's death will give you moments of awareness where you find yourself nitpicking and you can go, no, I'm not nitpicking on myself anymore. I won't beat myself up for no reason. I won't torture myself.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Any other questions that you want to ask?
Do you feel like there's any energy that's like sucking off of me or attached to me?
I will, compared to the other callers, no. The other caller, no. You have what I call dust bunnies. So, ever been sitting someplace and dust just appears all over your clothes? Little balls of dust? So the other caller had full on, grope marks in her energy field.
Right.
You've got dust bunnies. So there's a big difference. But yeah, you do have things you can clear out. And that would be saging, would do that, saging yourself regularly, taking the sage wand, going over your arms, and intentfully clearing out your auric frequencies, doing your feet, going behind your sacred feminine parts, almost as if you were doing a showering in smoke, and the sage wand was your shower head.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there are all sorts of special prayers that you can just create in the moment that are, I, in this ever-present moment, engage the sacred sage to clear the frequencies, to remove charge and polarity, so I may once again see the sacred beauty that's within myself. May my light shine forward and eject all of the little things that are hanging on as I engage my I am self as a sovereign being of the now.
Okay. I've been doing a lot of the Epsom salt bath almost every night, and I feel like that's helping.
Yeah, that's draining toxins out of you and allowing your body to relax, and so it's not swelling up.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking my call and for all the information and being so helpful and nice. And
you are so welcome. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. All right, we're going to take one more caller.
Next caller is from San Mateo, California.
San Mateo, California. Are you there?
Good day with you, Hendrix, again.
How you doing today?
Pleasure for having me 2 times in a row.
Yeah, generally we like people to wait a month before they call in again, because I think we've got about 30 people on the line waiting.
Yeah. No, you don't have to work on me because you already did great.
One
thing, if you only want to do, is maybe give some feedback on blood over intent. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I saw that blood and intent question. I'll answer that. So I'll answer that right at the end. So let's move on to the next caller.
Next caller is Cheryl near Watsonville, California.
Sharon.
Mute it.
Watsonville, California.
Oh, wow.
Is that Sharon? Cheryl?
Hello?
Hello, Cheryl. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. I think we caught you off guard.
Totally, yeah. My husband had the TV up really loud.
All right, so what kind of questions do you want to ask today?
Oh, I have a million of them. Would it be possible for you to look into my background and see what kind of advice my younger brother Danny has for me? He's in spirit.
What year was he born and what year did he die?
He was born in 60, and he lived 36 years. I don't remember the year he died.
Okay, how did he die?
He had a heart transplant. He had a heart transplant in Oregon, and he died from the failed heart.
So he died in like 1982, 84, like right at the beginning of heart transplants?
He got his heart transplant when he was 26, and then he passed away 13 years later.
Yeah, all right. Well, he's already back into a physical body, and he's
Really?
Oh yeah, he's already alive, and let's say he's about 19 right now, 18. So he did wait a while before he went back in. And he still has aspects that look over you. He fully accepted his death and multidimensionality. The heart surgeon in him had a spiritual contract to prove that it could be done, even though he died years after the surgery. So it was very much a spiritually contract-driven life. And he does want you to know that it was absolutely its own divine perfection having that heart transplant and living on with that heart of a new being in his soul.
Wow.
Yeah. Divine transformation.
Do you know where he lived? Yeah, it was amazing. Do you know where he lives now?
He is in Bali, the country of Bali.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he is
That's cool.
in training to do martial arts. Like he's been, like his father was very big into a martial arts called Bakwa.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool. I have another question about my family. They seem to not be very cooperative where I'm concerned. I'm just wondering, do I have some pretty serious karma with them all? My older siblings don't
Absolutely,
seem to...
absolutely you do. If it's reached this point, which I can sense, yes, there's a significant ancestral karma situation there. Now, similar to the other callers, the ancestral soup process will give you energy balance, but it will not really give the physical change that you're going to look for. You can't change them, and you got to know that. They're always going to be who they are.
I know.
And at some point, you just have to make the clear separation of, I won't take your shit, and no, you can't dump your shit here. No, you can't use me, and no, I can't lend you any more money.
Right.
Okay?
Wow. Yeah. Shoot.
Okay?
So exciting talking to you.
How harsh was that statement for you?
Well, I know it. They're older, and they were never really very, connected to me. So, and then losing my younger brother was probably the worst because he and I were buddies.
Right.
So now I just don't have anybody, as far as family, because they're not there for me.
Right.
And him being gone just kind of made it worse.
Well, you got to get out there in the community. You got to get out there into the community and make yourself known.
Yeah. Is there anything you can tell me about my marriage?
What year was your husband born?
55.
Okay, just give me a second to tune into him. All right, so you and he have a lot of other life karmas where you both lived in the Europe area, but during an era where all marriages were arranged. Now, both you and him have had arranged marriages hundreds of times. Sometimes it was you or the man, and sometimes he was the man. And then there are other times that, you arranged your own. So, but this is not an arranged marriage between the two of you. You are just very experienced at learning to love each other and to each other's quirks and habits.
True.
All right. Now,
very true.
Now, the husband, he has his own issues just like you do. We all have them. We just have to accept them. I think the most important thing for you to know, and if he's listening right now, he does got to get up off the couch a little bit more. He does got to get up and invest in outside nature more. Go fishing. Go do something.
Oh, his favorite thing.
So
that's his favorite thing.
Yeah, maybe the two of you can figure out how to share that joy of that frequency and not be in competition to each other. That's the key to you. As long as you two aren't competing with each other, you're perfect.
I know. That's so crazy. We do.
So how do you both stop competing? Is you both regularly say the words on whatever you're doing, I am not competing with you. I am choosing to make this time absolutely 100% non-competitional. And let's just enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's so true. You hit that one on the head. We do.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So the next thing
All right.
here with the husband, so I am seeing quite a bit going on with his lower intestinal tract. So does he need a full-on colon cleanse? Absolutely, but he's the one that's going to determine if he's going to do that. I would say, at least 4 to 6 colonics would start at cleaning out majority of the sludge, and then, he could do diet change for a few months and then clean the rest out. And diet change does not mean veganism. It means you are making sure you're getting your 40 grams of protein every day, your 100 ounces of water every day, and that you're balancing your diet with all the different other food groups. It's no longer steak and potatoes as the main expression.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So
That's
you can
great.
still have red meat and all that other stuff. You just have to balance all the meals out. And then make sure that he's getting, because there are times that he's not absorbing his protein, which is upsetting his body. There's also some candida going on, which happens when you get older. Sometimes that just happens. Any kinds of sweets, sends it off.
Okay. Right on. What kind of health advice do you got for me?
Just give a second here. So I've got a lot of stuff going on in your left and right shoulder blade. I mean, it's a lot of this chaos energy. Are you dealing literally with somebody else's shit right now? Crap? And are they really being dramatic?
Well, I have my handicapped son living with me, and he's 40. And I don't like to think of it as his crap because he's such a sweetheart. But it is a lot of work. He's a handful in a way.
It is absolutely affecting.
Yeah.
It's absolutely affecting you now.
Yeah.
So it's not that
I get really emotional.
I know. So you need full-on body work. You need to go and start getting 2 to 3 deep tissue massages a week for the next couple of weeks so that you can break up all this stagnant frequency inside you. You have what are called energy cysts all throughout your area. That's stored up, pent up frustration energy that has now created an energetic cyst under your shoulders, your shoulder blades, the tops of your shoulders, your pecs, your dorsal, all over there. And you need to get somebody in there to come in there and just literally grind it out of you, full body, with lymphatic drain. There are massage therapists that have lymphatic drain skills all over. You just need to go and find one that you like and stick with it. You're talking at least 3 sessions to get the majority of it out of you. Because most massage therapists, they go to a certain level and then the muscles just tell them anymore, you're just going to turn it into ground beef. And then you're going to need regular work to upkeep. And then at some point, you got the spiritual work to do too, as you have been taking care of him for so long, and that you need your own spiritual process that doesn't include him. Solely your journey. That is the sacred path that you're entitled to. He's still going to live his life. You're still going to love him, not 24/7, 365 like you have for 40 years. He'll be fine doing something while you go off and do something. That going to be hard for you to do? Are you there, caller? Oh, it looks like we lost her. Alrighty. That is going to be the last call we are going to do. And I want to remind everybody this coming Thursday, we have a Living the Mystical Life Daily webcast where I'll be talking Living the Mystical Life Daily. I would like for you guys to go on and check on the course. On the button below the screen here, it says, yes, I want to enroll. That's for you that want to be able to come to the Living the Mystical Life Daily live event. This is also where you can buy tickets October 5th through the 8th. And there's a limited amount of seats there, so I would encourage everyone to sign up for the course where you'll get the 2 free tickets to come to the live event that's going to be in Seattle, Washington at the Marriott Hotel right next to SeaTac. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll see you this coming Thursday for our Living the Mystical Life Daily webcast.